All right. I'm definitely realizing a lot of stuff, and I guess this fasting is definitely helping me realize a lot of stuff. Kind of been on a bit of an intermittent fast since since I fled this. Been a very, even more self-destructive, negative, abusive relationship. Anyways, ooh, I'm trying to open my jaw here. All right, so how is it that you hear one advice, someone tells you one thing, something about something, or how to live the best life. Then you hear another advice from someone about how to live the best life. Then different terms and meanings are tossed around, and then the different contexts are tossed around. Almost as if it's been systematically created for us to always be lost. Many people, for example, you have the advice that says doing what you love is not 100% accurate or good. You also have the advice that says doing what you love is 100% good. So which one is right? Depends on the a lot of factors, and one of those factors is your environment. See, let's put it this way: when you live naturally, when we live naturally as the other creatures of this earth, well then, doing what you love, when we live how we're supposed to live, doing what you love is a beautiful, ever-growing, non-stop process of becoming and being your best self. Again, doing what you love in the natural sense is forever or infinitely doing, becoming, and growing non-stop. Never running out of something to do. Always something to enjoy, something to do. Even not doing anything is good. And on that note, the term "don't do anything" or the advice of not doing anything is also tossed around. So when people give advice, you have to look where they're coming from, but you also have to look at where they are coming from. And I just mean that in two different ways. And this is what happens with communication sometimes. All right? The first way, when I said, where are they coming from? I was referring to, are they talking about the natural sense, in the natural sense, in the natural way of life? Or are they talking about in the artificial way of life? Or maybe they're talking in a hybrid way of life, a mixture of both things, right? But let's be honest, the artificial way of life definitely has a lot of things that just get in the way of people really living their best life. It actually has a lot of things that are that's harming the progress of humanity. Nonetheless, in the second way, when I said, where are they coming from? That was referring to where are they coming from emotionally, internally. You know? Could I have added the word where are they coming from environmentally speaking? Yeah, but even if I put that word in there, it will change the context as well. So this is why people get lost quite a lot. This is why there's so much confusion in the advice that people give. For example, people say, don't depend on nobody. Okay. That can be good. That can also be bad. There is a light and a shadow to the things, to pretty much everything. Actually, to pretty much a lot of the things that humans do and a lot of the concepts that humans think about or create. So a lot of constructs, we could say. So for example, let's put another example here. What was my previous example? I just brain farted there. What was my previous example? Oh yeah, okay. Do what you love. No, not that one. Oh my god, I can't believe I just had this brain fart. But anyways, it'll come back. Give it a second. Here we go, y'all. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay. Another advice that people be saying that can be self-contradictory. Like I said, and it just came back. Don't depend on anybody. Okay, depending on the context of where that phrase is being applied to and how, that can make sense. It could also not make sense. It could also be bad advice. So it could be good just as well as it could be bad advice. Really depends on your life, and this is why it's super important to really follow and pay attention to your own guides. All right, but it's also why it's super important to pay attention to the differences between a natural life, the artificial life. All right. So if people say, for example, like I just said, why is that word slipping my brain? Why is that word slipping my brain? Damn, dude, that's crazy. See, when it gets really fucking profound, this happens, y'all. When it gets profound, this happens. All right? It's like, wait, huh? Like, it's almost like the paradox is being broken, and then the brain is like, the mind's like, wait, what just happened? We're breaking paradoxes because there are a lot of paradoxes and paradoxales, I believe that's the word, that people fall into, a lot of dogmas that people fall into. So, let me cross the street here. So when people say don't depend on others, that can be good, that can be bad. It could be good in the sense of, hey, if we apply it to the artificial world, hey, don't depend on others to help you make it in the artificial world. Okay, there's a lot of truth to that, but there's also a lot of falsehood to that because you're still depending on a system, you're still depending on how the system is created, the design of the system, of an economic system. And not all economic systems are the same, but there is always some level of dependency on each other, just as there is a level of dependency in the artificial world. So now let's apply that concept of don't depend on others in another aspect, okay? The other aspect, don't depend on others. For example, let's say you are with a partner and you are, as I mentioned in my previous video, you are loving at every moment, but your partner is, or your partners, they want to stay in the negative. They want to stay, sorrowful instead of clarifying, instead of communicating, and instead of coming and rising above the hurdle. So at that point, don't depend on others becomes and takes a different aspect, and it takes a whole new meaning. So every advice that people give, the meaning and the context even is completely different because it's also coming from a different person, and it makes sense to them in a certain way depending on what they have experienced and what they are experiencing. So for example, let's take another one. Love yourself, all right? There's a light and a shadow aspect to that depending on each individual. Love yourself could be good, all right? It could also be bad. Let's look at how it could be bad. Love yourself. If you take the concept of love yourself, just like some people take the concept of God and, Jesus loved me or God loved me, etc. Some people use that in a very narcissistic, egotistical way. Oh, God loved me. And they use it as a tool, as a weapon for division, versus using it as a resource to come together and unify, to elevate. All right? So you have people who say, oh yeah, love yourself. Oh, I love myself. But their context and the way they're applying the matter and the way they're applying the I love myself concept is in a very divisive way. Now, for example, if you love yourself, when you love yourself correctly, then you have love for yourself, then you have love, your cup overflow, as it has been said, then you have love to give to others. But if that love is not being received, well, at that point, if you don't love yourself, at that point you need to recognize that loving yourself is good. At that point, when you recognize that the person is not accepting it, that the person just wants to divide instead of come together. That's why I have a high regard for the creatures, the inhabitants of this earth that are not human. I'm talking about our furry friends, our feathery friends, our scaled, amphibian, mammal, blah, 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 whatever. The different species of this world and the different elements that they partake in. Okay? That's why I have a high regard for them, especially the dolphins, because they don't create these devices These are mental, cognitive devices based on someone's pain, and some are even based on someone's success. But if it's not the right kind of success, hey, well, I know, I'm actually going to go like down to work. I'm about to go landscape. Hold on, y'all. All right. So some concepts are created in many ways, okay? But you have to be willing, you have to really break it down within you and try to understand it from a much deeper point, okay? In a way that makes sense to you, but in a way that not only makes sense to you, but can make sense for all. And even when you do that, here's the most difficult part. Even when you do that, it may still not make the same sense in the mind and heart of someone else. So, for example, let's bring up the term agape love. If I say I practice agape love, unconditional agape love, well, some people will say, well, that's a good thing. But then they could even say, oh, that could be too good of a thing. And they look at it as something to fear. Then other people can say, well, agape love is a good thing. That's a good thing that can help others. Yes. Then others will, if let's put me, for example, the individual. If an individual says, I practice agape love, I am agape love, or I am just love, okay? Just unconditional love. If an individual says, I am love, that individual could be saying it in a way that brings about more love and brings about more unity and elevates, or that individual can be saying it in a way that might be self-detrimental and they may not even know it. See, this is how slick, how do I say it? When people say demons, or talk about demons, you can say you can call it entities, that's one way of looking at it, but literally it's like an energy that finds the next entity or host it can settle and nest itself in and manipulate in either a positive light or a negative light. So this is why people also say that you must be in tune with your shadow side as well as your light side, so you can find the balance between and you can find the harmony between and not go to either extreme. Because if you're too positive, you might create bypasses mentally, spiritually, and emotionally. If you're too negative, you are definitely creating bypasses spiritually, negatively, and emotionally. So yes, flow through what it is you need to flow, but be wise as well. Be wise. So anyways, that's all I got for y'all. All right, if y'all like this, I hope it do. All right, I'm actually very glad I'm going through this because, you know, I'm getting insights and stuff. So anyways, if you guys like that, definitely feel free to share the video, because don't share it because of me. All right, share it. I mean, I do appreciate the heartfelt feelings towards my situation that is something I may have. Likewise to you guys, and that's why I'm making this video, because I know people have passed through these things in many ways. So anyways, feel free to share the video. Y'all could share the video, and you guys can share it, just share it for the purpose, you know, of helping another individual. And yeah, that's all. Anyways, oh God. Oh, that's why I hate gas and diesel. Oh, peace.